What's up, guys? Welcome to the first video on this channel. My name's Tiffany. I'm a 28-year-old entrepreneur. I run a high-ticket e-commerce website, and right now I am traveling Southeast Asia. I've been on this little trip around the world for about 7 months, and yeah, life's been good. I've been working on this website for about 4 years now, and I just want to take it back in time and kind of tell you my journey. From working fast food jobs to getting a big fancy corporate job to ultimately starting this business. And part of the reason I want to make this video is just because honestly, I love Instagram as a way to stay in touch with friends and everything like that. But I'm pretty tired of seeing all these 30-day challenges, make 10K in 30 days, 10K 30 days, all that stuff. And it just feels like a lot of these videos are not made with the best intent. They're made to shill courses and all that. And there's nothing wrong with courses. Like, I actually learned the business that I do today from a course. So I think courses can be very valuable. But I just feel like for me, if I was starting out and I was seeing that content, and even me where I'm at today, I see that content, I just feel like I'm not doing enough. So I just want to tell you, if you've been grinding on a project, you don't know if it's going to work, you're sacrificing your weekends, you're sacrificing time off of your 9-to-5 job to pursue this thing, and you're not sure about if it's going to work, I just want to kind of be a case study that, yeah, it can work. So yeah, hopefully we can get into the story time. Hopefully you enjoy hearing me chat a little bit. And if you like the video, stick around because I'm planning to put out more videos, kind of more tactical videos around e-commerce and stuff like that. All right, so let's kick it off to the early days. Young Tiff. So young Tiff honestly wasn't really much into business. I wasn't one of those kids that, grew up selling candy bars and washing people's cars and mowing lawns. Like, all I wanted to do was make money. And so I tried to make money as soon as I could, which in New Jersey, you can start working at like 16. So I was 16 and I got my first job at McDonald's. I learned a lot from that job. I hated it. Honestly, it sucked. But I was so excited to make my own money. So basically, the McDonald's job, it is what it is. I think that job kind of taught me a lot of the little things as to why people just don't like working typical jobs. Like these little things, like I couldn't clock out on my own. My manager had to clock me out, and I remember having to look for a manager for like 20, 30 minutes after my shift just to let me go after I'd already done my 8 hours. I was making like $7 an hour. I think it was $7.25 was the minimum wage, $5.40 after tax, and just dealing with a lot of BS. People were really mean. I felt like I was basically society's punching bag. It's amazing how people can treat you just because you have a food service uniform on. But ultimately, that job taught me a lot. It taught me about customer service. It taught me about how to keep cool when people are upset. And actually, I still keep some of those lessons today in my current business, whether it's prioritizing our customer service, just learning how to provide a good experience. So I stuck that job out through the summer, did what I could, kind of feeling like, man, is this what having a job is? But I kind of chalked it up to, all right, maybe this is just, fast food jobs. I'm still in high school. I can't get a real job, so I guess I'll just keep doing this in the summers while I can. So I did that, worked at a few more of those kind of jobs, Dunkin' Donuts, bakery, all this stuff, kind of constantly feeling like work sucks. I don't like any of this stuff, but it's money. And when I get to college, after I graduate college, I'll get this fancy job. And at the fancy job, then things will be good because, that's kind of what adulting is, right? You make good salary and you get to do all these fun things outside of work. You don't have to go to school anymore. That's it. That's where I'll, really enjoy working and all that good stuff. So I go to college. I actually went to college in California. Throughout college, this is kind of where I feel like I started my entrepreneurial journey. I started projects. They weren't monetized, but I was learning a lot of really good skills about just starting my own project, marketing, all that good stuff. Ran a couple social media accounts, starting my own podcast. But ultimately nothing was sticking. I had to graduate in 6 months and I didn't have a project I could monetize. So that meant that I had to, I basically had to get a job. So, thankfully LinkedIn video had come out like just as I was turning, into my college senior year. And so I decided I was going to use LinkedIn video as a way to basically network, create content, and I didn't want to apply to jobs, so this was going to be my way around the system. I was going to basically use LinkedIn video to network my ass off and get the best job I could. So I end up doing that. I am spending 8 hours a day on LinkedIn, messaging people, getting on calls, just doing a bunch of stuff, just trying to network. And I end up getting a job at LinkedIn, which, as you can imagine, was a dream. This was my dream company, right? Like, I was so excited. It was probably as good of a job as I could have gotten for the time and where my skill set was. And, I was really excited to get started. So I end up starting my job literally like the first day after graduation. And I end up getting the job in their recruiting department as a recruiting coordinator. It was a contract position. Basically, all I was doing was scheduling interviews for recruiters. And honestly, I really didn't like that job either. I mean, here I was at like a fancy tech job with everything you could want, but the work was just not fulfilling. I was doing the same thing every day. I didn't feel like I was learning anything. I felt like I was learning more when I was trying to get a job at LinkedIn than when I was actually in my job. It just felt like I was kind of a cog in the system. And yeah, it just didn't feel like my work was meaningful in any way. And I think that's really what I was searching for. I don't think the hours or any of that was the problem. It just felt like I had basically stunted my growth by, taking this job where I was doing a repetitive task that I felt like had no value. And that's no shade to LinkedIn. Like this, and in recruiting coordinators, like it's a hard job, but for me personally, I just wanted something more. So I pretty much realized that if I keep going down the path I'm going down with, trying to get these jobs and having these jobs try and provide me some sort of fulfillment, like this is not going to cut it. And I just didn't like the corporate game. I didn't want to play in it. I was like, if this is 1 year in, I can't imagine the next 50 years. Like there's no way I can do this. And so the only way around that was financial independence. I had to be financially independent of a company, and I had to be able to do it on my own. And so I basically started to look online, listen to podcasts from entrepreneurs that had started their own businesses. And a friend of mine had invited me to a conference out in Arizona called Build Your Empire. And I remember seeing these kids that were like 17, 19, all starting their own businesses. And they were doing e-commerce. And at the time, I'd tried different stuff, but never e-commerce. And I thought, you know what? I like this thing called e-commerce because it's location independent, it's time independent, and I think it could kind of give me the freedom that I've been searching for. So I decided after that conference I was going to start my first business, and this was going to be a Scrunchies business. Scrunchies were popping off in 2019. It'd be like a fun project. I'd get to learn a bunch, and that's what it was. I mean, I remember I think $300 on the first batch of Scrunchies. I got them designed, ordered from Alibaba. I had these Scrunchies in my room. I couldn't wait. I was going to sell these Scrunchies, become a millionaire, and quit my job. Not necessarily, obviously. Business is not like life, isn't always pretty, but I did learn a lot. I learned how to work really hard on a project. I'd basically stay at LinkedIn after hours. I would, do everything I could to grow our social media pages on Scrunchies, whether it was doing partner giveaways or, working with meme accounts. I was doing anything I could to basically get us more social media followers to hopefully translate in sales. Ultimately, we did that. We ended up getting 20,000 followers, but the sales weren't rolling in at the same rate. And I'm really grateful for that project because I learned so much. I mean, I probably spent a total of $500 on that whole project, and I learned more than I did in my 4 years of college, at least for marketing's sake. And so I thought, you know what, this has been great. I remember I sat down, looked at my final calculations, realized after a year of working on it, I had made $1,000. And I just told myself, hey, this isn't cutting it. I'm going to be I was living in the Bay Area at the time, and it's quite expensive there. Thankfully, my full-time job was still covering my rent. But if I wanted to be on my own, I had to do something that was going to financially support me. And so a friend of mine, I think, had told me about high-ticket dropshipping. Maybe they saw a video somewhere. No one I knew was doing it, but I liked the concept. I had just spent a year selling these $12 packs of scrunchies to profit maybe $3, $4 on each one, where I could sell this $1,000 item and profit $300 to $400. Okay, start doing the math, $300 to $400. My rent's about $1,500. All I need to do is sell about, 4 or 5 of these and I can pay my rent. That seems pretty doable. So I got a course. I started basically following the steps. And within 3 months, I basically had 10 brands onboarded, had everything I needed to launch the website. But I just couldn't press go. I just couldn't launch my Shopify site for whatever reason. I had a lot of hesitancies. I didn't think it was going to work. I'd worked on stuff that hadn't been working, other dropshipping stores after the Scrunchies business. And this was all outside of work. So, I'm working these hours. No one I know is doing it. I'm the only one doing it. I'm saying no to going out with my friends. I'm, just tired. I'm trying to work out, go to my 9 to 5 and work on my business, but I'm not making any money. Like, what's to say this one's going to be any different? But I still remember the kind of day that it all changed. I basically had to put in $3 for my ad account in order to finish the ads module. And with the $3, I ended up making my first 2 sales. So that was about $1,500 a piece. That's about $3K in revenue. I have no idea how it happened. I'm not going to lie to you. I run ads today and I never saw a cost acquisition at $1.50. So yeah, don't know how that happened. Maybe it was luck, but it was the go signal I needed. From that point on, I still maintained my 9 to 5, but I was working on this high ticket thing every chance I could, whenever I could. And I actually ended up scaling that store in my first year to about $800,000 in revenue, which, if we compare it to, I think the Scrunchies in total had made maybe $2,000 or something like that. It was making no money, and I worked on that for a year. So it was just a good lesson that sometimes you can work really hard, and sometimes that's not enough. Sometimes you need to work on the right things. And so this high ticket thing was the right thing for me at the time, and it still is. I actually still run that business today. The business is the one that's afforded me the ability to work, travel, and kind of live the lifestyle that I had always been wanting to when I first started out. So I'm super grateful. Ultimately, I ran both my high ticket website and another 9 to 5 job that was much better. I ended up working at a startup, and it was much better, but still was quite a grind to do both. For about a year and a half, I managed both, and then I just decided to do my own business because ultimately what keeps me so motivated at working on this business, at having new businesses, projects, is because I don't want to go back to the 9 to 5. I'm honestly terrified of it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not hating on it, but for me, I was just tired of opting into systems and being upset when they didn't work out. And I would rather do this entrepreneurship stuff, online business, and figure it out on my own than take the set promotions and just basically have my whole life laid out for me. Sometimes I'm jealous, honestly. You guys know when you're my 9 to 5 friends, they know generally the structure to get promoted. But when you're on your own, you have no idea how you're going to make it to the next level. But part of that kind of makes it fun. Then life kind of becomes a game, and you kind of are trying to navigate how you're going to play the game to get to the next level. And so I'm still figuring that out. I hope that you can join me on this journey to figure that out. And if you're interested in starting your own business, I highly recommend sticking around because I'll be sharing more tactical ways to create your own online business, specifically in e-commerce, because that's what's worked for me. And yeah, I hope to see you around. Hopefully this video is in a way helpful to you in your journey, but just know that, you can do it. If I did it, you can do it. And I'm here to support you along the way. And I hope to see you around. All right, peace.